Hey, everybody, welcome back. Excuse me. Yeah, take two. Welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs channel. My name is Greg, along with my co host here, Brandon Scott. And of course, today, guess what we're talking about? Free agency. A lot of moves that were made, some moves that I was a little surprised with. Other moves that I think we're still expecting that hasn't happened yet. But we're going to get into all of it. But first, before we do, make sure that if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. Um, and when you do, also make sure you hit that notification bell. And when you hit that notification bell, make sure you're notified for all videos, not just for certain ones. That way, you won't miss any releases of videos when we send them out to you. So I just want to cover that really quick. So instead of making a video for each move, which honestly I don't have time for, Brandon doesn't have time for, we decided, we're just going to, at least so far, we're just going to do one video to kind of cover the day's events. So Brandon, you got the list there of moves. You're going to kind of go through them, and then we'll kind of talk about them and see what's what. So Brandon, without further delay, I'm telling you, folks, I've had a long day. It's been Monday. Without further delay, Brandon, take it away. What have we done today?
Oh man, we've been very, very active, and it's not just today. We've been active for the last 10 days. Starting with on March 1st. Obviously, on March 1st, the Washington Maniacs did acquire wide receiver Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers for a fifth-round pick. Good move. Obviously, we're going to talk about it. And then they also re-signed kicker Zane Gonzalez. Now, let's go fast forward a little bit. March 6th, Bobby Wagner is back in D.C. on a one-year deal. Now, the next move after that, March 7th, they released defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, which did free up $16.5 million in cap space. So March 8th, they went ahead and re-signed Zach Ertz to a one-year deal for $6.25 million. And then on March 9th, the Commanders did agree to re-sign tight end John Bates to a 3-year extension. So the tight end room, they're running it back. Then Tress Wade was re-signed to a one-year deal. That was a no-brainer. I mean, he's been a fixture here in D.C. Now, this is where it starts getting interesting. The Washington Commanders did agree to terms with defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw. So we're going to talk about that one. It is slight questionable, but and a few people we did lose. Wide receiver DeAndre Brown did agree to a one-year deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And before we get into left tackles, I'm very, very happy about that deal. Jeremy Chin is gone. He is now in Las Vegas on a 2-year deal with the Raiders. But today, the headliner today was the Commanders did acquire left tackle Laramie Tunsil from the Houston Texans. We also acquired a 2025 fourth-round pick, but we did send 4 picks to Houston. It was a 3rd and 7th round picks in 2025 and a 2nd and 4th rounders in 2026. So very, very active today, Greg. So the question is, Greg, which deal did you like? Which deal did you not like? And what deal were you looking forward to?
So I'll start by saying that I really like the Laramie Tunsil deal. Having, that was one position before Trent Williams left that we seemed like we always hit on. We had Chris Samuel for a number of years. We, of course, had Trent Williams for a number of years at offensive tackle. So it always seemed that left side was always secured by someone who's a Pro Bowl level left tackle. And so, since then, we've been trying to figure it out, been trying to, put somebody in there who's decent. I mean, we had some decent guys there, but honestly, when you have what we hope is a superstar in making quarterback, your franchise quarterback, you want to make sure that he is well protected. And so you've got to have a Pro Bowl level caliber left tackle. And now I know that a lot of people felt that Coleman did a dependable job, and I think he did. He was hurt a few times, so that had something. But I think Laramie Tunsil coming in, multiple Pro Bowl caliber type of player. This is something that I think was desperately needed for that offensive line.
Yeah.
Now you can move Coleman, like you said, to guard. Um, there's probably going to be some shifting around due to the injury with Cosme, and who knows? Cosme was already back in the gym a few weeks ago working
Yeah.
out, so he could come back a lot sooner than expected. But we really want to make sure that we're building the trenches. And this was something that we said before we started this video is that I like that idea. That's what the Eagles did. They built the trenches and look, it pays off. They got a Super Bowl trophy. Um, and I think that that is something that you always need if you're going to be a contender year in and year out. You got first of all, you got to be able to protect your quarterback. You got to be able to open up running lanes for your running backs, and then on the defensive side, you got to be able to pressure the quarterbacks. Now, we will get into, let's get into it now. Javon Kinlaw. Now,
Yeah.
there seems like there's mixed reactions with this, but, initially you look at a 3-year deal, $45 million. But when you break that down, who was it? Oh, shoot. There was another defensive tackle, I believe that godly was signed for like $25 million a year, and I'll have to look it up. I know who it is. It just escapes me right now. But when I looked at his deal and then I look at this, I was like, this is actually not as bad. You
Yeah.
know, I will take this. Um, yeah, I would say I think Adam Peters picked up Kinlaw because obviously there's history. He drafted Kinlaw, San Francisco. Kind of didn't really have all that great of a year up in New York, and so he comes to the Commanders, comes back to Adam Peters. There was kind of an idea with him. I was reading about it today. It was something they called it an elephant tail type of position. I've
Yeah.
never out of the 40 plus years I've watched football, Brandon, I have never actually heard it put that way, but it's kind of the type of defense that Seattle had with Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at guys that fit a certain role. Now, again, you may argue that, well, yeah, it's fitting certain roles. So it's a system type guy and you're paying him $45 million. That seems excessive.
Yeah.
These rates do seem excessive, but I mean, if you want to look at something excessive, look at Josh Allen's. Um, oh man, I mean, that just makes me think that in the very near future, somebody like Jay Daniels might be making $1 billion playing quarterback.
Man.
You know, so yeah, I look at these deals. I'm like, was it worth it? I don't know, but this one thing that if we look back last year, Adam Peters brought in specific guys for certain specific roles that fit. He's bringing in guys for a certain fit, and so we don't always see it as fans right away. But I think we definitely saw
Yeah.
the plan this past year, and so I think that I think that Adam Peters has definitely earned my trust and respect and patience as well. Yeah, but this one I would definitely say Javon Kinlaw. You can kind of argue, well, could you have maybe just kept Jonathan Allen?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, did Jonathan Allen really want to stay? I don't think he wanted to stay. I think he
Yeah.
really felt like he needed a fresh start. So
Yeah.
I don't think that was gonna happen. One move that I'm a little surprised with was allowing Jeremy Chin to leave
Yeah.
because I really felt that he was a very good fit in Washington, and I really felt that they were going to give him a bigger deal. So I'm surprised they cut him loose, but um, there could be that they're eyeing another safety out there in free agency. Could be they see somebody in the draft that they feel like is going to be better than Chin, but I really like Jeremy Chin. So that
Yeah.
that move, I'm kind of sad to see. You know, Jonathan Allen, as we said, I expected Jonathan Allen to get released. Jamie Brown, I was kind of on the fence of that because um, you know he kind of tweeted something out a few weeks ago that made me think, you know what, he wants to get paid, and I think he wants to go somewhere and maybe prove that he could maybe battle to be the number one wide receiver. I
Yeah.
mean, if you base his his playoff performance and toward the end of the season, I mean, he played some really good ball.
Yeah.
And, I would have loved to have kept him, but I mean, we picked up Deebo Samuel, and
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel's already putting in the work. I think having Deebo Samuel along with Terry McLaurin, I think we're going to be just fine at wide receiver. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people out there, though, they're looking at some of these other big name guys, and I really felt that that was probably the perfect pickup for us. In terms of um, of a skilled position.
Yeah.
Um, Again, Adam Peters knows Debo Samuel, and so you kind of get that a little bit. And anytime that there's a familiar relationship, chances are those guys are going to want to come and play for you. So, but I think that honestly, out of all this so far, um, the biggest wow to me was the Laramie Tunsil pickup. That
Yeah.
one came out of left field. I didn't expect that at all. Giving up a lot of draft picks, in
Yeah.
my opinion. I mean, two this year, two next year, but I think that Adam Peters, he may likely trade out of the first round. I mean, we're
Yeah.
we're picking what, 29th, 20th, 29th. So,
Yeah.
you're almost in the second round at that point anyway. So he may look at that and trade back down and pick up some more draft picks and get those picks back anyway. So I bet that that's probably on his radar. Now, as far as guys that we re-signed, Bobby Wagner, excellent, love it.
Yeah.
Um, Ask anybody else outside of Commanders Nation, they're going to be like, well, he's washed. No, he had a Pro Bowl year this year. I mean, he played.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's lost a step at all. Zach Ertz, man, he was a factor. Things I felt started off kind of slow, but he really he put in the work, man. And Zach
Yeah.
Ertz, I think he just rekindled something, some sort of fire inside of him. And so I'm loving these 1 year deals for these guys. I think you and I talked about Chris Rodriguez before. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, he always seems to maybe not necessarily outshine Robinson, but when he gets his opportunity, he makes the best of it. And
Yeah.
so I was happy to see him get an exclusive rights tender. Uh, Zane Gonzalez, probably better kickers out there.
Yeah.
I appreciate his dunk to get us into or his doink to get us into the divisional round. Um, is he going to be a guy who sticks around the entire season? That's going to be the question.
Yeah.
But because honestly, he is just a wild card for any kicks outside of the 50.
Oh
So
yeah.
and I'm sorry, but this is not the 80s anymore where it used to be a 47-yard field goal attempt was almost impossible.
Oh yeah.
Um, but these kickers kick 50 plus on a regular basis, and he's doesn't have very good percentage outside of that. So we'll see. It's only a 1 year deal. I'm sure that we'll probably find our kicker at some point, but I don't think that he's going to be anybody who sticks around. A lot of people poo-pooed on this John Bates 3 year deal. They were like, "Why are we re-sign a mid player?" I'm like, dude, his blocking.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, he's our present day Donnie Warren. He's we need blockers, blocking tight ends, and he is excellent at blocking. And he will come out, he'll go out and get a pass for you as well. So he's very versatile. He's not the most athletic guy, but people get too caught up in the flashy
Yeah.
highlight reel type of guys.
Yep.
And John Bates, he's your blue collar worker. He brings his lunchbox with him to work, and he works. And so you need guys like that on the team. And of course, Tress Way. How could you not want Tress Way back? I
Right.
mean, he is forever a Redskin, and so I just appreciate uh, bringing Tress Way back. I guess the question is, it's 1 year deal. I wonder if he's going to wind up retiring because he's been in the league for a right good while. But I mean, he still punts on a Pro Bowl level. He can do some fakes for you. So there you go. But I mean, yeah, overall, I would say Laramie Tunsil was a very big surprise. The Javon Kinlaw is, hmm,
Yeah.
of course, Deebo. I forgot to mention Deebo Samuel loved that move. I can't wait to see him. And I know he's going to be back in shape. People talk about, man, he went and got fat. I'm like, dude didn't look fat in his videos the other day of him, working out. So he's going to be. Don't worry about Deebo Samuel. He's going to be in shape. Don't worry about him. And we're still looking at oh help me out here, Brandon. Cincinnati dude.
Oh, Trey Hendrickson.
Trey Henderson. So we're still. I mean, he's the Ryan Kerrigan clone. I mean, he looks just like. I think he wears the same number. People are still wanting him, and I mean, I don't think we have enough firepower at this point to get him.
Nah.
I don't think it's going to happen. We don't want to trade all of our picks away. So I'm thinking that move probably won't happen now since we went out and got Tunsil.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably going to start looking at the draft and filling some need at draft. So that's my opinion on that. But Brandon, I mean that's my long-winded spiel on all of that. The only thing I will say is I keep looking and see who was let go with the Eagles. Sweat's gone. Had another guy off the defense gone.
Darius Slay.
Yeah, well, Darius Slay. There was another, I think, defensive tackle.
Yeah.
So, us Commanders fans are looking at this and be like, okay, they're getting weaker on defense. This is good. If you ask an Eagles fan, they're going to be like, oh, these guys are just rotational guys. I was like, come on, Sweat. Sweat was more than just a rotational guy. So yeah, they keep losing some guys to free agency. We lost a couple of guys, but I think it's addition by subtraction. So yeah, man. I mean that's pretty much what I have to say about it. It's nothing. I think the offensive tackle move was probably maybe outside Deebo was the flashiest move, but nothing that is really like, wow, we got Khalil Mack or somebody that everybody talks about that we should pick up. We were supposedly linked to Cooper Kupp, and we were linked to today. They said something about Boza, and I'm like, I think that Boza's going to San Francisco, but I mean, we were linked to everybody. And I made the comment. I was like, yeah, we're linked to everybody. Chances are we're not going to get any of those people we've linked with. And so far, I've been pretty much right. So that's pretty much what I got to say about it. In Adam, we trust. Let him cook.
No, look, I agree 100%. You let Adam Peters cook, man. He has already shown his worth early on in the process here in Washington. But what move did I really like? I'm with you. Tunsil is a home run, in my opinion. We needed that franchise left tackle. We got that. Look at the draft picks. Yeah, you gave up 2 in 2025, 2 in 2026, but I'm with you. I also think that Adam Peters is going to trade out of the first round because, like you already mentioned, at 29th, you're practically in the second round. So, yeah, I can see them trading back, get more picks. And so I'm not too worried about that. But Tunsil was a guy that when he was traded from Miami to Houston, I was like, oh, man, that's a guy that I really, really wanted here in D.C. So we're able to find that franchise left tackle. Brandon Coleman, I can see him moving to left guard. And then probably Nick Allegretti is going to go over there and fill the void over there at right guard for Sam Cosmi. But Could we add another piece or two on the O line? Probably. Badasi, I like at center, but at right tackle, there was news about we showed interest in former Redskins, former commander Moses Morgan. So would I be in favor of that move? Yeah, I mean he's a solid guy at right tackle. So we have options. You definitely needed to solidify that blind side for Jaden Daniels, man. I mean, look, that's the franchise QB. The biggest MO is to keep him healthy, keep him productive. Deebo, good move. Now, the reason it's a good move is, look, if he plays well, he probably stays in DC for the long run, and you're probably looking at a really good wide receiver group between him and Terry McLaurin. But if he doesn't, it's a 1-year contract, so you can cut bait, and that's it. It's a high risk. It's a high risk because of the health, and when you look at the numbers, a lot of people call him injury prone, but he last 3 years he's only missed 2 games per year, so it's not so much that he's injury prone where the injuries really knock his productivity. And then this big thing to look at. But he's a Swiss Army knife. He's a guy where in Cliff Kingsbury's offense, he's going to be able to kind of put him wherever he wants to. He can play on the outside, he can play on the inside. They can get him active in screens. He can run the ball. I mean, with his size, yeah, people call him fat. No, he's a bigger guy. Like they had him in certain sets playing running back. Like you need to have some muscle play running back, man. I mean, so he's a Swiss Army knife that I kind of look at him as Curtis Samuel on steroids. Nothing against Curtis Samuel because Curtis Samuel was a very similar player, but Deebo, you're looking at all pro caliber guy. So like I said, the 1-year contract, if he doesn't pan out, you're not handcuffed to him long term. But if he does, you got a heck of a weapon on the other side of Terry, man. And then you still got Luke McCaffrey. And I think that they're definitely going to add a receiver in the draft. And like I said, there's news around Hollywood Brown might could be an under the radar move for the Commanders, because if you go Hollywood Brown, you have a speedster on the other side of Terry, going to take some pressure off of Terry, and then with Deebo in the slot or wherever they want to play him, you got a guy who's going to be very productive in his offense. What move did I not like? Defensive tackle Kinlaw doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I get it, Jonathan Allen. I think the writing was on the wall for a while with Jonathan Allen. But Johnny Newton, I think it was time for him to step up because, look, he played well this previous season. I think he's earned a right to be a starter. He was brought in out of the draft to eventually be a starter. Let's be real. He was a great value move in the second round because they knew that eventually they were going to move on from either Jonathan Allen or Deron Payne. And I think he's a starter caliber. So, like I said, the money is not too alarming. I mean, like I said, 3 years, $45 million with 30 of a guarantee is not too bad. But, I mean, does it really move the needle? That's the question. I mean, to me, it's kind of a downgrade from Jonathan Allen because the biggest thing with him is injuries. I mean, he had a torn ACL, which limited him to 41 games, 28 starts with San Francisco. And he is a local product, so he spent part of his childhood in the DC area. And that sometimes I'm cool with that, but sometimes I'm like, it's cool that he's from here, man. But I want him to be productive. So to me, it was a downgrade. I think that when you look at the fact that Jonathan Allen was a Pro Bowler, is a downgrade in my opinion. But especially when you have Johnny Newton. But like I said, I trust in Adam Peters. What move did I want? I'm with you. Trey Hendrickson was a guy where it's like, come on now, you do what you have to do to go grab Trey Hendrickson. I mean, look at the stats real quick. Last couple seasons, he had 17.5 sacks, both in 2023 and 2024. Off year in 2022, only 8, but then 2021 was Cincinnati, 14 sacks. 2020, and in a short, was it the COVID year? This man had 13.5 sacks. So he's been productive everywhere he's been, man. Myles Garrett, there was a lot of noise with him. And when it's all said and done, he just wanted the money. So it is what it is on that front. He just wanted to be the highest paid guy. And maybe we dodge a bullet, maybe not. I mean, let's be real. Myles Garrett is kind of an acquired taste for people. Very highly productive guy, Hall of Fame caliber guy. He's had his things off the field or some things on the field. So like I said, he's kind of an acquired taste. He could definitely play at a high level. And I think he could have made us a really good defensive team, man, especially on the D line. But like I said, with him is always what motivates him. And very often than not, it's money. So I want a guy who's going to come in here and be a team first guy. To me, it just seems like the big MO with him was just being the highest paid defensive guy. So like I said, I think we dodged a bullet on that one. But I'm with you, Greg. I think after acquiring Tunsil, Trey Hendrickson is probably out of the equation because you don't want to burn all your draft picks. And while like we both said, I definitely expect Adam Peters to really gain more picks by trading back out of the first round, you still want to burn up all your draft picks. So I think he's out of the running. But like I said, if you look at the defensive end position, and I think there's 3 position groups that, and obviously we're going to talk about it on here on Washington Football Maniacs, man. But the 3 groups where we really need reinforcements is wide receiver, defensive end, and cornerback. And if you look at some of these DNs in the draft, man, I think we could definitely grab a guy late first round, early second round. A lot of guys look at, I mean, Abdul Carter, he's going to be gone by the top 5, so I wouldn't really look at him. But you got James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M, Michael Williams out of Georgia. I mean, the list goes on. You have some guys who can definitely play. Nick Gordon at A&M, Ole Miss, Princely, last name, I'm not even going to try. And then you have Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. So there's options. You know, Adam Peters said early in the process he's going to build through the draft and supplement through free agency. So a lot of people were kind of get on Adam Peters. And I said, look, give him some time. Give him time to cook. He's going to build his team. He's going to build it through the draft predominantly. And you see with free agency that a lot of these moves, like I said, Greg, 1-year moves. These are kind of these depth moves, these moves where, they're safe moves. Bobby Wagner led the team in tackles. So it's not bad for a guy that everybody's talking about has lost a step. I mean, he played Pro Bowl caliber linebacker, and people were saying that he lost a step. So Bobby Wagner was a good, safe move. Zach Ertz, again, 1-year deal. I'm not too bad at that because even if he does kind of show that he's lost a step at tight end, Ben Sinnott, I think, is definitely a guy who is going to be your future tight end. And John Bates, look, like you said, people get so caught up in, these guys who can score and catch. Blocking is important. People forget the importance of blocking in as far as receiver and tight end. The guy can block. We need him in the run game. Brian Robinson, like I said, there's news. Obviously, we're going to talk about it this week coming up. But Brian Robinson, they're looking to maybe replace him at running back because he hasn't hit the 1,000-yard mark. But still, with B-Rob, with Eckler, with potentially a rookie out of the draft at running back, you need guys who can block, not only in the inside with the old line, but on the outside with your receivers and with your tight end, because with those sweeps, you need guys who can block. So John Bates was a good move. So overall, I enjoyed the free agency. And like I said, I definitely see a couple more moves. Our big highlight moves are probably over. I think Tunsil's going to be it, and I'm cool with that because that is a necessary move. Like you said, Greg, we haven't had a quality franchise left tackle since Trent Williams, in my opinion. And so that was a necessary move. You needed to make that move. And looking at Deebo, there's a high risk but high reward type of move where if he pans out, you have a top 10, top 15 wide receiver to pair with Terry McLaurin, who has been probably one of the better receivers we had in this organization. Nothing against Art Monk, because obviously he's the GOAT here in DC, and other receivers like Santana Moss, the list goes on, Deshaun Jackson. But to me, this is the fact that he's been a risk in. He's on the Washington football team. He's a commander. He's been through the team when we're going through all the strife with management. He's been through it all. We deserve to put some talent around him and for him to really play at an all-pro level, because I think that Terry McLaurin is still an all-pro wide receiver, and I think that they should definitely be in the conversation with an extension. Now, obviously, he's looking at $30 million a year. You could argue he's probably earned that because he's been through so many different coordinators, so many different quarterbacks, and a really bad owner. And so, like I said, he's earned that contract, in my opinion. So overall, kind of long-winded, but overall, I enjoyed the free agency. There were necessary moves. Now, the draft, I think, is where it's going to get very, very interesting. And this is where you're really going to see Adam Peters really, really cook like Gordon Ramsay, man, because, there's a lot of good talent in the later stages of the first round, in the second round, and the third and the fourth round. And he's shown that he can get these diamonds in the rough in those middle rounds. So I think they're good moves, man. Like I said, you didn't get Hendrickson. You didn't get, Bosa. You didn't get these, Khalil Mack. But here's the thing. It ain't always about the headliners. There's a reason why these guys are free agents. And so you kind of got to look at it like that. Is that at first, like, oh, it's Khalil Mack. But look, if Khalil Mack was still Khalil Mack, he would not be a free agent. And so there's a reason why he was available. So he's sticking to his guns. He's built through the draft and supplementing through free agency. And he's got all the support in the world for me. And he did a great job.
Yeah, and people have to remember this is exactly what Adam Peters said that he was going to do when he first came here. He said he's going to build through the draft. He's going to supplement with free agency. And as much as that we hear this and then we hear people complain when we're not going out and getting big name people like we used to back in the day, they're like, oh, why are we not going out and spending tons on getting these guys? And it's like, again, Adam Peters says that he builds through the draft and he supplements with free agency. And sometimes what's the best way to supplement? It's to bring back some of your free agents that fits your system It fits the culture that will produce for you and be difference makers. And so that's why you saw um, B-Wags come back. That's why you saw um, Zach Ertz come back, guys like that. It's because these guys are still able to contribute and play at a high level. And yeah, I am just fine with finding guys of the future in the draft. And I feel like that Adam Peters is probably the best general manager we've had with finding, like I said, the
Yeah.
diamonds of the rough, the guys in the latter rounds, similar to, when Bobby Beathard was around. Bobby Beathard excelled with finding those guys, the diamonds in the rough, the later rounds, the castaways from other teams that couldn't really fit anywhere else. You brought him into Washington and turned, the Redskins into Super Bowl champions. So that's what we want to have here now. And I think Adam Peters is doing the right thing, definitely by going in and bringing in guys. Number one, guys that he knows. Um, it's easy to bring in, look at guys that's played for him in the past. Or I should say, guys he's drafted. Yeah, it's not always the sexy moves, but it's the necessary moves. And
Oh yeah.
so, I mean, let's face it, this is a big boy franchise now. This is not, your Madden PlayStation football. And we're not, none of us are general managers, and so we don't see what these guys see. And so, I mean, for Adam Peters to put together, both him and Dan Quinn, to put together the team they did last year that went all the way to the NFC Conference Championship game,
Oh, yeah.
tells me that they know what they're doing. So I trust them. I trust Adam Peters, trust Dan Quinn with his input as well. And who knows? There's probably moves that will still be made, even probably up till, um, training camp, maybe
Yeah.
even, during the season. So, um, it's not it's not over and done, but I think you will probably start to now. I think you start to turn focus toward the draft
Oh yeah.
and seeing what needs we have. Can we draft those guys where we're at? Um, and we'll talk more about the draft in coming videos. But for now, folks, I mean, it's been a day. I think it's been an exciting day. Um, it started off kind of quiet, but and I was away from my computer, away from my phone all day long, um, installing computers and all this stuff. So I had no idea until I got back into my office at like 3 o'clock, and I'm checking Twitter, and I'm like, oh, I'm going through and I'm seeing all these moves, not just commander stuff, but seeing some of these guys, Fields moving on.
Yeah.
Um, so just some very interesting moves that have been made. So hey, you know what? I don't want to get too excited about free agency and the draft. I want to have all the excitement when they're actually playing football.
Oh yeah.
So tired of the winning off the field. I want them to win on the field. Enjoyed last year. So yeah. And Adam, we trust. I trust him fully. That being said, folks, I think that we've kicked the dead horse plenty enough.
Oh yeah.
Um, you know, Brandon and I pretty much eye to eye on all of these moves.
Oh yeah.
So we like them, but you guys, let us know in the comments below. What did you think about these moves? What do you think that the Commanders can still do? Keep in mind, we don't really have the draft capital to keep trading, away. So unless that we have some players that we're willing to make some swaps for, um, I don't think you're going to see uh, any more big names unless you can just sign them, straight out. Maybe we still sign a Cooper Cup. I don't know. I haven't checked the news. He could be on another team by this point. So, that being said, folks, you stick right here to the Washington Football Maniacs. We'll try to kind of give you a summary of everything that's going on. And with that said, Brandon, you got anything else for us?
No, sir. Like I said, let Adam Peters cook.
That's right. And I'm hungry. So there you go. All right, folks, you take care. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, again, smash that like button. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Share this video out to others you think would be interested in our jibber jabbering about football. That said, we will see you in the next one. Take care, folks.